Join me for an evening of cookie decorating. Setting up is very important. That includes all of your tools and getting a show to watch. Tonight I was watching The Menu. I kept seeing clips for it, but honestly had no idea what it was about. This was my genuine reaction. Yeah, I definitely got a little too enthralled in that and my snack instead of getting to decorating right away, but whatever. No one ever tells you this, but the most time-consuming thing about decorating cookies is making the colors for some reason. Planning it all out in your head, figuring out which ones you need, and then if you need those in flood or line or stiff consistency, yeah, there's a whole lot of planning that goes into it that no one really thinks about. But we do get to see these oh so satisfying fills. Ah, isn't that nice? I'm pretty sure this is in 4x speed though, so yeah, it definitely does not take this short amount of time to decorate these. But hey, I get it. I'm the one that made them, and of course, I'm not going to sit around and watch me make them again. I've seen some bakers that use one consistency of royal icing whenever they're flooding their cookies. It's kind of like a middle consistency, but I still prefer to use a stiff lining around the edges and then fill in with a flood consistency and poke any of the little bubbles out. Now, I have to admit, this video is not the best demonstration of this technique that I'm about to show you, but when you want to do a really smooth two-tone design, you're going to flood the base with one color. Here I used white. And while it's still wet, you're going to use another flood consistency icing. This one I used black. And you're going to draw your designs on top. That way they all settle in together and they create one smooth top instead of like bumpy with different, textures and layers. My problem here was that I filled it with too much white, and then when I added the black on top, it just decided to creep out over the edges. So yeah, had to keep kind of fixing that one and scraping it off the edge. It did it on pretty much all of them. So yeah, just keep in mind if you're going to do that to flood it with a little bit less or make your border around the edges a little bit higher. Anywho, once they solidified, they turned out really cool, and I was able to write on top of those and get that flat versus 3D effect. Now, this customer didn't ask for cactuses, but I kind of threw them in there as a bonus because I thought that they would be super cute. I didn't want to go with a really bright green. I was actually inspired by like an agave plant. So I was trying to go for that blue and green kind of color, succulent, if you will. I mixed the two colors together just side by side and then kind of poked them all together. But I think another really cool technique would have been the like dip dye tie-dye where you mix the colors in a bowl and then you dip the cookie in there face down. But I'm not entirely sure how that would work since it's not like a round shape. So it might have kind of leaked all over the place with the cactus shape. Maybe I'm prideful, I don't know, but I like how these turned out anyway. And of course, had to throw a little Wolfie in there. So, a little side story, I have been baking for years and I've moved many times over the years. Unfortunately, that means a lot of the tools that I've had in the past I've lost over time just from moving or, getting rid of things, downsizing, upgrading, things break, whatever. But there are so many times, like this has happened more than once, when I will go searching through all of my stuff looking for a particular cookie cutter, only to realize that I have not had that cookie cutter for like 10 years. This set of cookies reminds me of one of the first cookie cutter sets that I bought off of Etsy, like with my, grown-up girl money. And it was so cute. It was like a cute little teepee and a feather and an arrow. It was supposed to be for like a baby shower. And seriously, like as I'm making these cookies, I was looking all over for those cookie cutters. And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't had those, for 10 years. Maybe it was less than that, but still, I haven't had them for years. Does anyone else do that, or is it just me? I've always had pretty nice handwriting, but these bubble letters are tricky. I'm talking about the ones that say Rodeo, because sometimes there's little air gaps in there and it creates those craters. I understand the concept of how you're supposed to fill them in as you go with like a stiffer icing and then flood them on top, but I still get those little craters every now and then. Okay, another super random topic. I feel like I'm sharing all of my weird quirks in this one video. Do you guys ever read a name like when you see it in print or in a book or something like that, and in your head, you don't actually pronounce it? It's just like this is how this word sounds, and it's just a jumble of letters. And then when you go to read it out loud, you're like, that's not a word. Like, I know that this name is not Matthew or Matthias. I know that. But for some reason, that's how I said it in my head. I said both names. Matthew Matthias. I have no idea why. Okay, let's talk about cookies again so I don't sound like an absolute crazy person. Anybody that knows me knows that I love to go country line dancing and two-stepping. My favorite place is Stampede, or it was, years ago. I'm probably too old for that place now. But I love my cowboy boots. My favorite boots that I have are this like soft navy blue, and they've got fringe on the side. They're just awesome. I feel like I was trying to kind of replicate that stitched design with these, but it was kind of a hard design to copy. I see now the importance of a projector or a template. Once again, this is why I like to try to add a couple more cookies to every order, because sometimes I'll do the same cookie design, but I'll do it a little bit differently. Like, as you can see, this cookie over here to the right, the hat, doesn't have any of the gold in it because I just didn't think about putting gold in there until after I had already piped onto it. But it felt a little flat to me, so I thought I would add some gold to give more of that shadowy dimension. If anybody's looking for a really good metallic edible paint, you're going to want to get it from Sweet Sticks Edible Art. I think I have their 8-pack of different metallic colors, and they're the best. You can get them in my Amazon storefront. I think hats are the one piece of like clothing or accessories that I just can't wear. I would love to be a hat wearer. I would love to wear like cowboy hats and baseball caps and all that, but my head is too sensitive. I can't do it. That and headbands. Anyway, thanks for putting up with me as we decorated these My First Rodeo cookies. Are there any cookie decorating techniques you want to learn next?